Hi, this is Aaron Marcus from Safer Oregon PAC. We are outside the Long Multnomah County Juvenile Courthouse in Portland, Oregon, and we will be sitting in on a trial here in a few moments for Angela Borths. Angela Borths is an outspoken advocate for CPS reform, and her 3 children were removed recently for her daughter being within the 1 percentile for her size. Angela Borths is 4'11", and they can prove that her daughter is probably small due to genetic reasons. Angela Borths is known nationwide as Mad Angel, an outspoken advocate for CPS reform. After the court hearing, we'll have an opportunity to ask Angela what happened today and what new evidence that they are trying to bring into her case.
This is the second court hearing I have attended with Angela, her first being a few weeks ago just after her 3 children were removed. During today's pretrial, Angela's attorney was handed a stack of postings from her social media account she uses for advocating against CPS programs and distributing study data that shows the peril our children are in when placed in state care. Included in those are her public postings of her personal past experiences with Oregon DHS, where 2 of her children were inappropriately touched during a secret inspection for sexual abuse. At no time were there any jurisdictional claims that either parent had ever been physically abusive to their children in any way. When they were previously removed a few years ago, the children were allowed to stay with their grandparents. One day, a caseworker arrived and told the grandparents that the 2 older children, including her 5-year-old daughter, were being taken to a counselor. Instead, the caseworker in this meme, who we will not glorify by sharing her name, took her 2 oldest children living with her and watched as the children were checked for signs of sexual abuse. She was watching through a 2-way mirror, which is not normal protocol. No caseworker ever told Angela or the grandmother about the visit. It wasn't until a week later, when her daughter confided in her older sister and grandmother that someone had put something inside her at this visit, that they even knew this visit occurred. Angela's case was later dismissed, until this meme was recently discovered. This caseworker was at the previous hearing I attended and high-fived and laughed about getting the order for removal. She has been removed from the case for her past conduct by her supervisor, but still works closely with the current caseworker. As for this meme, well, Angel posted it to warn other parents. Is the state using her social media protesting and CPS reform advocacy as a basis for jurisdiction? No, but it is clearly a move to bias the judge against her. Without a jury, this type of legal bullying goes unstopped. In today's hearing, Angel's children's father was tricked into siding with allegations that he failed to protect the kids from her neglect on the advice of his attorney. Afterward, he was stunned that the plan was now adoption and he was being ordered to participate in a psychological evaluation. Angel will take her case to trial, but the state will now have jurisdiction over her children unless her ex-boyfriend withdraws his plea and fires his attorney. I interviewed Angel outside after witnessing her court hearing. What I saw almost caused me to jump up and yell. In this interview, I mistakenly referred to Angel's ex-boyfriend as her ex-husband. They were never divorced and have a mutually agreed upon custody agreement.
What I saw was very, very amazing. I just saw a guy's attorney basically set this whole family up for failure. Anyhow, I'm here with Angela Borths and I'd like to ask her a few questions. Why don't you come on here, Angela? So, this isn't your first run with DHS, is it? No. Do you think this case has anything to do with actual neglect of your children, or do you think it's more or less retaliation from the last court proceeding that you won against DHS?
I think it's retaliation from the last case. You said in there it's not really any kind of substantial neglect that's going on.
Well, what I did see, I saw that your husband was tricked by his own attorney into accepting jurisdiction, only to have it backfire.
Yes.
Now they're going to request a psychological evaluation. How do you think that's going to turn out?
I feel so bad for him, really, honestly, because I know how those evaluations are, and I just don't see
They're setups?
Yeah, and I don't see it really turning out in his favor.
Well, you and I have both studied a lot of cases where things like this cases happen, where they start off with a loose jurisdiction, then they send people to psych evals. They will only accept certain ones that contract with the state and give them what they want. And my impression, it looks like that they're going to use him to try to terminate your parental rights, and then going to go after him on mental health grounds, which is what I've seen in many cases. Do you think that's the game that the state is playing at this point?
Yeah, and I think, I did see his panic when they said contingency plan adoption.
Yes, they also announced today that the current plan is adoption, and we're only, what, 6 weeks into a case?
Yeah, yeah. And I know that I've seen so many parents fail. You know, the mental evaluations didn't turn out the way they wanted. The DHS or courts use that to remove and permanently remove children.
Have you ever seen cases like my case, where they say that the mental health isn't enough to terminate a parent's rights, and then years later down the road saying, oh, the parent can't complete this treatment because the parent necessarily doesn't have a condition that needs to be treated?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of those cases, and if they can drag it out to their 15 months, then of course they don't have to have a good enough reason. They can just adopt lots of kids.
Which is the Oregon statute under the Adoption Safe Families Act. The child has to be in substitute care for 15 of the previous 22 months.
Yep.
So do you think your ex-husband has any idea what they're trying to play with him?
Yep.
Well, I spoke with his attorney outside the courtroom, and I will be attaching that video to this. I flat out called her out in front of him as to what she's doing and she knows the plan. Do you think your husband, Tim, might be smart enough to get a new attorney and withdraw his plea?
I would hope he would. You know, I would hope that he would feel protective enough over the kids and not just, you know, eager to follow along. You know, I would hope he would just really learn his rights, you know, to protect the children.
One of the things I noticed is they use the term totality of circumstances, which means 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 500 or something. There is no circumstances to be totaled up that even amount to that. And then I noticed that not only were they all talking about continuing what they were going to be doing with the case, amending certain allegations which didn't even get brought up in court, I did notice that there were 10 people taking part of this hearing. There was you, your husband, 3 attorneys contracted for and paid for by the state. There were 2 DHS representatives there and a district attorney, a judge, and a judge's assistant. That's 8 people receiving paychecks to make a determination that if they don't get enough money to pay off all these people.
The claims against Angela are loose, manufactured mutterings like chaotic lifestyle with no description, failure to thrive of her short daughter who was only given a week to try a higher protein and fat diet, drug use claims because she must be good at hiding it to have all those clean UAs, children's tardiness at school going to class from school breakfast, and her stolen garbage can leading to a small pile of bag trash, which a caseworker ordered her to sneak into her neighbor's receptacles. She was later scolded for failing to comply with that illegal request. No claims of any abuse. No claims of food neglect. No claims of emotional abuse or neglect. No messy house claims. No complaints from the school. Well-behaved children, creative and beautiful. Why would the state want to take these kids? I think the caseworker's plan was made clear by her. After less than 6 weeks into a case, a concurrent plan of adoption was announced. Not even one service ordered or jurisdiction fully established. If Angel's kids were abused, bruised, battered, had behavioral problems from exposure to violence, would they be adoptable? Are children being taken from good parents because of their product assessment? We see the stories on the news, we read them on the internet, we hear them from thousands of parents. False allegations, bogus psychological evaluations, and rigged courts with no juries. Cases tossed from the appellate and Supreme Courts so they never see the light of day. Children kidnapped, plain and simple.